the two important works which represent India's documentary heritage, that is your Bhagavad Gita and Natyashastra. In fact, the Prime Minister of India also remarked that this inscription or entries into the Memory of World Register of UNESCO is a very proud moment for every Indian across the world, which is that committee that looks after all these documents or nominations sent by respective countries, regions or international organizations. So this committee is the International Advisory Committee. So if in prelims a question comes where the statement is given that the International Advisory Committee meetings happen every year, it would be wrong. So it happens after every 2 years, biennial meetings. When the nomination is done by more than 2 countries or 2 member states of UNESCO, unlimited nominations could be sent. For example, Archives of Dutch East India Company, jointly nominated by Netherlands, Indonesia, South Africa, Sri Lanka and India, have found inscription in the Memory of World International Register. Tarike Khandani Timurai, in English it is translated as Chronicles of the Descendants of Timur, which have been inscribed in 2011. It is a 16th century illustrated manuscript. India's ancient wisdom continues to speak to the modern world, not only through temples, architecture, sculpture, or performing art traditions, but also through its documentary heritage. To honor this documentary heritage, recently, UNESCO has included 2 very seminal manuscripts, Bhagavad Gita and Natyashastra, in its prestigious Memory of World Register. So hello everyone. Today I welcome you all again in this weekly initiative of VisionIAS for current affairs topic from culture perspective. So in today's lecture, we will understand this UNESCO's Memory of World program, how the nominations and the procedure takes place, what are the Indian entries to it. All this information will be given specifically keeping in mind UPSC examination, both prelims and main stage. So let's start the discussion. So this UNESCO Memory of World program is a very important program which has honored recently the 2 important works which represent India's documentary heritage, that is your Bhagavad Gita and Natyashastra. In fact, the Prime Minister of India also remarked that this inscription or entries into the Memory of World Register of UNESCO is a very proud moment for every Indian across the world. Even the Culture Minister has remarked that this global honor celebrates India's eternal wisdom and artistic genius. So what happens, what impact does it make globally when these documents are inscribed in the World International Register of Memory of World program? So basically we have to understand that these documentary heritage reflects what impact that document has on human civilization, ethics, wisdom. So with this recent entry of Bhagavad Gita and Natyashastra, it helps us to understand the contribution which these documents have played in human thought, wisdom, philosophy, and performing art tradition. Now let's understand about what is this UNESCO's Memory of the World program. So UNESCO's Memory of World program was launched in 1992 to preserve documentary heritage and safeguard against the collective amnesia, right? Now what is this collective amnesia? And why do we want to safeguard documentary heritage? So collective amnesia is a term used in order to understand and protect the documents which could be forgotten in future. So to preserve those things, this UNESCO's Memory of World program includes these documents in the list, right? Now, what is this documentary heritage? What all kinds of documents does it include? So this documentary heritage includes your written records, that includes your manuscripts, letters, ancient text, historical documents. It also includes your audio-visual materials like films, photographs, sound recording, oral histories. That is also classified under documentary heritage. And even the digital records are included in this documentary heritage. Now, these documentary heritage by UNESCO in the Memory of World program or register is considered to be the most authentic, irreplaceable, and possess outstanding universal value, right? So all those documents which have all these traits, which are considered to be having outstanding universal value, are included, right? So that means the aims and objective of this Memory of World program includes to safeguard these documentary heritage having the outstanding universal value against any conflict, natural disaster if it happens, collective amnesia if it could happen in future, to enable universal access to these documents worldwide, and also to enhance public awareness towards these documents, right? Now let's understand how this program works and what is the mechanism. So this Memory of World program has certain registers which it maintains, which has inscription from the world, the most important documents. There is this committee by the name of International Advisory Committee, right? So let's understand how this mechanism works. So there are registers which are maintained by UNESCO Memory of World program. The most important register which it maintains is the World International Register. Besides this, you have regional registers as well, and then there are country-specific registers also maintained, right? Now let's understand what is included in the World International Register. So the documents which are to be inscribed or are having universal global significance or outstanding value are included in it. Obviously, the nominations to it are sent by the countries, right? Then, apart from this, there are regional registers also maintained by UNESCO Memory of World program. For example, you have Memory of World Register Africa, you have Memory of World Register Arab states, you have Memory of the World Register Asia and the Pacific. Now, in this regional register also, Indian entries are included, right? So, Indian entries are included in the Memory of World International Register. And then you have in the regional register, Memory of the World Register, Asia and the Pacific region, which also has Indian entries to it, right? Then you have a Memory of World Register, Europe and North Africa. So these are some of the regional registers. Besides the country-specific registers, you also have in this program a Memory of World Register which belongs to international organizations. That means the nominations are sent by the countries. The nominations are also sent by international organizations, right? That are put in these registers, right? Now let's understand. So these are the registers which it maintains. Now, which is that committee that looks after all these documents or nominations sent by respective countries, regions, or international organizations? So this committee is the International Advisory Committee, which mainly catalogs, lists the documentary heritage that has been recommended and endorsed by the Director General of UNESCO, right? So in this list, the items which are recommended by International Advisory Committee and endorsed by Director General of UNESCO are included. So I'm again repeating, in the World International Register, the nominations are looked after by International Advisory Committee, endorsed by Director General of UNESCO. Using the selection criteria, world significance and outstanding universal value are included. The first inscription in the World International Register happened for the first time in 1997. Although the initiative was launched long before this, but the first inscription was done in 1997. And as of April, there are 570 entries into this World International Register, right? Now, what is the process, and how in India things are managed? So, this International Advisory Committee comprises of 14 members who are appointed by the Director General of UNESCO. Again, the main function of this International Advisory Committee is to examine the documentation, recommending items for inscription, coordinating, organizing meetings, etc. Right? Now, this International Advisory Committee meetings happen after every 2 years. So there are biennial meetings which usually happens in odd numbered years. So for example, 2025 there was this meeting, 2023 there had been a meeting, but usually it happens in odd number years. There have been exceptions where the meetings have taken place in the even numbers as well. So if in prelims a question comes where the statement is given that the International Advisory Committee meetings happen every year, it would be wrong. So it happens after every 2 years, biennial meetings, right? Next, what you have to understand is that the meetings for the first time started to take place 1993 onwards. The first meeting that took place happened in Poland. Second meeting happened in Paris, France in 1995. But in these two meetings, no entry was included in the Memory of World International Register. It was only the entries started to be inscribed in the Memory of World International Register since 1997. And it was the third meeting that happened at Tashkent, Uzbekistan, right? So this is again an important point which you all can note from prelims point of view, that not in the first two meetings the inscriptions were done, but the entries started to be acknowledged or recognized only after 1997 or the third meeting which happened in Tashkent, right? The recent 2025 meeting which happened of International Advisory Committee that included the Indian entries Bhagavad Gita and Natyashastra was the 15th meeting, and that happened again in Paris, France. So this is also an important point, that it was the 15th International Advisory Committee meeting that happened in Paris, France, that included Indian entries or Indian documents, Bhagavad Gita and Natyashastra, right? Now, so one is that International Advisory Committee looks after all the proceedings, but how does the nomination procedure is followed in this Memory of World program? Who all can nominate? What number of nominations could be sent? All of that is what you have to again keep in mind. So any organization or individual can nominate a documentary item. This is very important point to be kept in mind, that not only organization but also individual can nominate a documentary item, right? The nominations are submitted through or via UNESCO member states through their National Commission for UNESCO or relevant government body. How many proposals can be sent by a UNESCO member state? So maximum of 2 proposals per nomination cycle could be sent by UNESCO member state. But when the nomination is done by more than 2 countries or 2 member states of UNESCO, unlimited nominations could be sent. What does this mean? So for example, India and Africa comes together, right, to jointly propose a document which needs to be sent to Memory of World Program register. So they can send, unlimited number of documents. This happens only when 2 or more member states come together. Then only this unlimited nominations could be done. Otherwise, every or each member state of UNESCO could only propose or give 2 nominations per nomination cycle, right? Now, how this support and implementation is done through this Memory of World program or the registers which it maintains. So basically the Secretariat at UNESCO provides this support and maintenance, right? There are also regional and national committees which are autonomous from UNESCO and comprises of dedicated local heritage professionals which helps in implementing this program. So with this we have understood how this UNESCO Memory of World program functions. So at the first level, there is these registers maintained. One, the World International Register, whose nomination and the process is being looked after by International Advisory Committee and endorsed by Director General of UNESCO. Then you have regional registers also, region-wise, in which the Memory of World Asia and Pacific Register is significant from Indian perspective, right? Then you have national registers also maintained by some of the respective countries, right? Now, we will understand the India's engagement and how the nominations are sent and prepared from Indian side. In this, the role of Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts is very important. So when it comes to UNESCO's Memory of World program, this organization, Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, located in Delhi, which is the premier art organization, an autonomous institute under the Ministry of Culture, which was established in 1985, facilitates nominations, organizes awareness campaigns, and looks into what all nominations could be sent from Indian side in this Memory of World registers, right? So this is a very important point again from prelims point of view. Now, there have also been in the recent past entries into the Memory of World Asia Pacific regional register. So there is this Sadryalok Lochan and Ramcharitmanas, which are part of Asia Pacific regional register. Alongside this, there are Panchtantra manuscript also, which have been included in it. So in 2023, IGNCA proposed or could make these manuscripts enter into this Asia Pacific regional register in 2023, and they have been included in 2024 Asia Pacific regional register. So this is also an important point which you can note, because what can happen is that they might give you these entries like Sahidralok Lochan, Panchtantra, Ramcharitmanas, right? And they will give you that they are included in the Memory of World International Register, which would be wrong. They are part of Asia Pacific regional register, right? Now let's understand what kinds of submissions from India have been inscribed in this UNESCO Memory of World register, right? So there are different kinds of documentary heritage that have been included, right? So there have been books which have been included, there have been manuscripts which have been included, there are papers which are included, right? And then there are also 2 joint entries with different countries, right, which India had, which also are part of Memory of World International Register. So for example, Archives of Dutch East India Company, jointly nominated by Netherlands, Indonesia, South Africa, Sri Lanka and India, have found inscription in the Memory of World International Register. Similarly, there is this joint initiative of the first summit meeting of the non-aligned movement archives, which have been jointly submitted by Algeria, Egypt, Indonesia, Serbia, alongside India, have been inscribed in the UNESCO's Memory of World International Register. So there have been 2 joint entries also part of it, right? Now let's understand and look into the very finer and very important details of all the entries which are inscribed in the UNESCO's Memory of World International Register. So there have been more than 10 entries to it with 2 joint entries, right? So let's see one by one what these entries are about, their nature, and their most important contribution. So the first entry into this Memory of World International Register is your Tamil medical manuscript collection, which have been inscribed in 1997. So since 1997, inscriptions or documents were inscribed, and in the very first year itself, Indian Tamil medical manuscript collection were also made part of it. Now this is a palm leaf manuscript or from the 19th century, which gives us information about Siddha and Ayurveda medical traditions. It also includes the knowledge based on how the medicines could be obtained from herbs, herbal roots, leaves, flowers, barks, etc. Right? So this is what this medical manuscript collection, Tamil manuscript collection, deals with. Then you have in 2005, after considerably long years, you have Shiv manuscripts of Pondicherry inscribed in the UNESCO's Memory of World International Register. So it is considered to be the largest collection of Shiv Siddhant texts, consisting of 11,000 manuscripts on Shaivism, Vishnu worship, astrology, medicine, and literature. It is a 10th century AD document and represents the Tantric doctrine and Shiv worship, right? Now, these documents have spread across the Indian subcontinent and beyond, as far as Cambodia in the east, right? So this is again an important document which has found place in the Memory of World International Register. Then in 2007, we have Rig Veda also been given place in this register. So as you know, Rig Veda are one of the oldest literary texts. It contains hymns, mantras, myths, rituals, which forms the foundation of Vedic science, yoga, Ayurveda, and Sanskrit traditions. It has 10 mandals, right? So this is also in this list, right? Then you have Tarike Khandani Timurai. In English, it is translated as Chronicles of the Descendants of Timur, which have been inscribed in 2011. It is a 16th century illustrated manuscript which was commissioned or ordered to be conceptualized by Akbar in 1577-78. So this document mainly comprises of the history or ancestors of Timur in painted or illustrated format, right? So it features more than 100 Mughal miniature paintings by court artists like Daswan, Basavan, and Manohar. So this text or manuscript is also important one, right? Then you have Vimal Prabha Lagukala Chakratantra Jatika, which has been successfully inscribed in 2011. It is a palm leaf manuscript which mainly deals with the commentary on Kala Chakra Tantra, which is a key text in Vajrayan Buddhism. So this text is important. It can be asked in prelims where you do get questions on Buddhist literature. So this Kala Chakra Tantra is a text in Vajrayan Buddhism, right? And it contains details about astrology and astronomy, also Ayurveda, as well as Indian philosophical concepts are discussed in this text, right? Now, apart from this, a very interesting, information which is mentioned in this text includes measurements of the globe, right? Now, these measurements of the globe, besides this book, has been mentioned earlier in the Abhidharm Kosh, which is a 4th century text authored by Acharya Vasubandhu, right? So this is a very, again, important information from prelims point of view. So this text, Kala Chakra Tantra, deals with astrology, astronomy, Ayurveda, philosophical concepts, as well as it includes measurement of the globe, right? And then there is another book which talks about the earliest mention of measurement of the globe, that is your Abhidharm Kosh, which is written by Vasubandhu, right? Then there is this Shantinath Charitra, which had been included in 2013. It is a Sanskrit text in Devanagari script, which describes about the life and times of Shantinath, 16th Jain Tirthankar, right? Now this work was composed in the 14th century and also is having miniature paintings from the life of Shantinath, right? These miniature paintings have been painted in lamp black color from gum and white paint from silver, right? Then comes your Archives of the Dutch East India Company, which is a joint nomination that have been inscribed in 2013, right? This joint nomination was sent alongside India by Netherlands, Indonesia, South Africa and Sri Lanka. Now these archives of Dutch East India Company are a very important archives that gives us complete and extensive source on early modern history and advent of Europeans, right? Now Dutch East India Company, which is also abbreviated and is called as VOC, was founded in 1602. It got diluted or liquidated in 1795, right? So these are important piece of information which you can keep in mind. Besides this, it was a joint stock company, right? You can also, after the discussion or lecture, can revise more details on Dutch East India Company because it is a very important topic nowadays. In the last 2-3 years, there have been questions in prelims coming from the advent of Europeans or the European companies, right? Next, Gilgit manuscripts, which have been inscribed in 2017. These are considered again as one of the oldest or the oldest surviving Buddhist texts, which were discovered in 1931 in the Gilgit Silk Route. Now, these Gilgit manuscripts were written on birch bark in Gupta and post-Gupta Brahmi script, and they cover or mainly deal with Mahayana Buddhism, medicine, folklores, which are written in Buddhist hybrid Sanskrit language, right? Now, these manuscripts include both canonical and non-canonical Buddhist works, which gives us information on evolution of Sanskrit, Chinese, and many philosophical literature like Japanese, Mongolian. So again, these are very important manuscripts, right? Now, these manuscripts also include sutras from the Buddhist canon, Samadhi Jat Sutra and Sadharm Pundrik Sutra or the Lotus Sutra. So what you can remember is that this Gilgit manuscripts gives us information about Buddhist sutras, medicine, folklore, and also these canonical or non-canonical works also gives us how different philosophical literature from Cambodia, China, Korea have evolved, right? Then comes your Maitreya Vyakran, which was inscribed in 2017. Again, this is a Buddhist manuscript which is belonging to 10th century time period, which talks about the future arrival of Maitreya Buddha, right? A bodhisattva. So that means it is dealing with Mahayana Buddhism. These manuscripts were written on palm leaf in a mixed character of scripts, Kutil and Ranjan script, which belongs to Pala period, right? So this Vyakran is also very important one. Then comes your Abhinav Gupta manuscript collection, which was inscribed in 2023. Now, this is a collection of around 248 manuscripts covering philosophy, Tantra, Kashmir, Shaivism and aesthetics. So it talks about Abhinav Gupta or deals with Abhinav Gupta, who's a 20th century Kashmiri polymath, who knows many language, philosophy, etc. So he was an Indian thinker in the domain of philosophy, aesthetics, literature, performing arts, music, tantra, yoga, who lived in Srinagar, Kashmir, right? So this is the only surviving record of the expression by neo-theocentric knowledge culture or the Vedic Agamika. So again, this Abhinav Gupta manuscripts are important. What you can note down is that he is a thinker or a philosopher of 10th century from Kashmir, right? Then again, there is this joint nomination on the archives of the first summit meeting of NAM, which were inscribed in 2023. The joint nomination alongside India was sent by Algeria, Egypt, Indonesia, and Serbia. These archive texts contains files, recordings, photographs of the 1961 first summit of NAM that happened at Belgrade, right? So this is again very important one, right? Next comes your recent inclusion in the Memory of World International Register, that is your Bhagavad Gita, which contains your 700 verses or paragraphs in 18 chapters, which is there in the Bhishma Parv or Adhyay 23 to 40 of the Mahabharat epic, right? So this Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharat epic of Bhishma Parv or the Adhyay, right? Now, what does it deal with? It basically gives us information on the dialogue that happened between Krishna and Arjun when the armies were lined up during the war or the battle, right? So the dilemmas he faced, the questions he had, the strategies he wanted, or was in his mind, and how Krishna guided him is all what is given, right? So it talks about very important, dilemmas, the path of dharma, which is the righteous duty and the moral path, karma, which is the law of action and consequence, bhakti, that is devotion, and gyan marg, that is the knowledge and the self-realization. So all these marg or path is what it deals with. Not only this Bhagavad Gita has also helped in synthesizing Vedic, Buddhist, Jain, Charvak philosophies into a unified ancient wisdom, right? So again, this is a very important, manuscript which is in the setup of Kurukshetra battle, and how how Krishna guides Arjun, right? Then another recent manuscript written by Bharat Muni, which is Natyashastra, has been included in the UNESCO's Memory of World International Register. It is a 2nd century BC text written by Bharat Muni, who's considered to be the epitome of Natya Ved, right? Which is a very seminal text on performing arts, right? It also contains 36,000 verses known as Gandhar Ved, right? So this Natya Shastra comprises set of rules of performing art, abhinay, ras, bhav, sangeet. So aesthetic experience, that is ras, abhinay, that is performance, natya, that is drama, emotion, that is bhav, music, that is sangeet, is what is included in this Natya Shastra of Bharat Muni, right? So this Natya Shastra is the foundation of performing art tradition in India, right? So it is a very comprehensive treaty which has introduced rest of the aesthetic experience, and it has also recognized the performing art traditions like Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Kathakali, Odissi, Kuchipudi, all have gained something or the other from this Natya Shastra. So it is a very seminal text on theatre, music and dance, right? Now, as I told you, that besides the Memory of World International Register, in the Asia Pacific regional literature, in 2024, Ramcharitramanas, Panchtantra and Sahitya Lok Lochan have been included, right? Now, this Asia Pacific region or regional register is a specific branch of the Committee for Asia and Pacific that was established in 1998. That means this register came into place in 1998, right? Besides this, there is this miscellaneous information which I would like to give you all with respect to Memory of World program. There is this specific or special award that has been run under this Memory of World program. And what is this? It is called Jikji Memory of the World Prize, or UNESCO Jikji Memory of the World Prize. Now, what is this Jikji? So Jikji Prize honors the most oldest extant book printed with movable metal type in Korea in 1377. So this award is kept in the name or memory of this Jikji, documentary heritage, right? Now, what is this purpose of this UNESCO's Jikji Memory of the World Prize? So it basically is recognizing the seminal or the literary heritage or a documentary heritage that could be considered as the common heritage of humanity, right? So all those documentary heritage that could be considered as the common heritage of humanity are given recognition under this prize. Now, this prize consists of US $30,000 being given to individuals or institutions that are recognized under this prize, right? Now, this is also a biennial award. That means after every 2 years, this award is given, right? And all the operating costs and the funding is being looked after or taken care by the Republic of Korea, right? So this award is open to institutions, individuals, also member states, as well as NGOs that have formal relations with UNESCO, right? The nominations are sent through the Director General of UNESCO to be eligible for this prize, right? So this is with respect to Jikji Memory of the World Prize. So with this, we have almost come to the end of this topic. So in the end, what you need to understand is what is the impact or contribution of this Memory of World program and why it is important to recognize this literary or documentary heritage. So first of all, the documentary heritage is considered as a collective memory, which is priceless, which is fragile and fundamental to the humanity's collective memory, which needs to be preserved. Secondly, it also helps in safeguarding the cultural identity, knowledge systems, and the stories that defines the humans or human civilization. That is why, again, this documentary heritage needs to be preserved. And in this, UNESCO has come up with this UNESCO's Memory of World program or initiative, which is acknowledging the contribution played by documentary heritage, which is encompassing the story of not only knowledge systems, wisdom, ethics, but human civilization itself. So with this, we have ended the discussion. I hope the discussion would be fruitful for you from prelims and mains point of view. So all the best, guys.